It is official. Kyle Whittingham, there's been a lot of smoke. There's been a lot of conversation about it. And today, just about 20 minutes ago, it became official. Kyle Whittingham is stepping down as the head coach of the University of Utah. Hey, look, nobody's more committed to this job than this guy. Even on vacation, he chimes in. It is Hans Olsen joining us right now. Hans, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm just stepping out of lunch with actually some friends here on the island. I'm stepping out of the quinoa chop suey restaurant, just finishing off some beef broccoli and some crab wonton, actually right in the middle of the meal. But, hey, when Lloyd calls and says, I'm not asking, I'm telling, then I get up from the table. I leave the people that are actually paying for my meal. So, Scotty, that's nice to have friends
on
the island, because this is going to be an $80 meal. But, no, buddy, I of course I'd step away from the table for this. This is, first of all, man, I'm shocked. I'm shocked, but I got a lot of thoughts.
Well, let's get to them. And by the way, I'm going to say, as good as your lunch has been, I'm going to put mine above it. I've sent you some pictures, but we're down here at Bar Dub Grill.
You're rubbing it in my face. Bart's sending me 3 or 4 different videos and pictures. I've got you cutting into a filet mignon with a plastic knife.
Yep.
I've got all these beautiful sauces, big old beds of potatoes, beautiful looking gravy. And then I get a freaking bread pudding mix out of one of their spud nut donuts.
Dude.
With like a glaze and raisins.
I don't know. Like, I may have had better desserts in my lifetime. I can't think of any. This is the best dessert I've ever had in my entire life. But it's disgustingly good. It is unbelievably good. I cannot believe how good that thing is. Like, it is worth losing your feet over. Let's just say that. There's no doubt. All right. All right.
That's awesome.
So, look, we've been hearing a little bit of rumblings here and there, but Kyle Whittingham stepping down, and, let's just get right to it. I mean, what do you think was the final thing that said, okay, now it's time to walk away?
Well, you try to piece everything together.
Yeah.
And I would suggest if, when I get off the interview, you guys ought to try calling Trevor Riley, because I feel like when Trevor Riley was on, when Lloyd and I were hosting, I feel like he was pointing towards this, saying that it's all going to come apart. It's going to come undone. Got to have more money. Got to have more money. Got to have more money. And by the way, I do think, just according to people that I've talked to, I think this is going to be a surprise to some. And I do wonder if down the stretch there was kind of a press for, we need more money, we need more resources, we need more so we can get more kids and we can do more with what we've got. So I don't know, Scotty, if there was something like, hey, we need to get X amount, we need to get to this, we need to do this to make sure that Kyle can stick around, or if Kyle many months ago decided, hey, this would be my final season. I don't know. This is a tough one to piece together. It's a really tough one to piece together because, I feel like Kyle's got more in the tank. I feel like he wanted to do more. I didn't feel like he wanted to end his tenure at the University of Utah missing out on the college football playoffs, missing out on a conference championship, and losing to his rival. I just don't think that's the way he wanted to finish things. Obviously, now, if you get to the end and you're at the end and you want to finish it, and that's just the way it is, then that's the way it is. But, I just felt like there was more. And yeah. I wonder if there were some things that were requested that weren't met, but I don't know that for sure. That's just me throwing, ideas of why Kyle would call it at this point, because I just feel like he's got so much left to give.
Well, and the timing seems a little weird, because I would have thought that this would have come a little quicker than this. It feels, the timing just doesn't seem right, like that there was a lot of going back and forth, and I don't know if that was conversations with the university or conversations with his family, but it does feel like this was either going to happen really quickly or right after the bowl game. Having it happen now seems, I don't know, it just something seems just a little off with this, for sure.
Seems off to me. It seems off to me. And by the way, Scotty, you and I, we are not these grand theorists, and we are not major speculators, but what we like to do is kind of speak what's on our mind as we're thinking through the process of what just happened. And the timing of this just feels different, and it feels a little unsettled. with Kyle Whittingham, I've always felt like it should be like a Kobe Bryant retirement tour.
Yeah.
You know, I've always felt like it should be on LaVelle Edwards' final year. Like, we need to know so that we can initiate it the way we want to initiate it. But I will tell you this, I've had a lot of time for different discussions, and I've talked to a lot of different people over the years about Kyle Whittingham, and the sentiment was always, when Kyle Whittingham's done, he's done.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's going to hold, but, we've seen our very own Coach Mack, stay very visible, very relevant, very prominent, very in the community, doing shows with you and I for the last, 12 years, and then doing shows with you 6 years before that, 5 years before that.
Yeah, about that.
He's had his own show here on 97.5 for the better part of about 17, 18 years now. And he just, he's stayed just very in tune. He's always at practices. He goes to BYU practice, goes to Utah practice. From what I understood, when Kyle Whittingham called it quits, we just won't see or hear a lot from Kyle Whittingham. And I kind of wonder if that's the way he wanted it, kind of more of a Jared Allen get on a horse right into a sunset than a Kobe Bryant retirement tour. But it makes me sad, honestly. It makes me really sad because he is up there with, I would say right now, three of the greatest coaches in my mind in the state. And I'm talking just primarily football.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd include guys like Jerry Sloan. But just in football, Kyle's up there with LaVelle, Ronnie McBride, and Kyle Whittingham right now. I mean, those three are on my Mount Rushmore, and there's no argument to be had. 21 years at the University of Utah. How many conference championships? Ushering them into Pac-12, ushering them into the Big 12. Taking them from a 5-win team last year, getting to a 10-win team, and at least having an opportunity with the final two games, if they could have just blown out the two Kansas schools, have an opportunity to be in the conversation of the CFP. I do feel like those blowouts really removed them from that conversation when they could have probably still been in the conversation. But, man, Scotty, so many things running through my mind right now, and honestly, my heart kind of hurts over it.
Yeah, mine as well, because, frankly, from a selfish standpoint, Hans, you and I have been doing this show a long time. You and I have been doing sports radio in this market for a long time, and all but really 1 year. I mean, I covered that last year of Urban Meyer in 2004, but other than that, it's been Kyle Whittingham as the head coach of the University of Utah. Things can come, things can go, things can change. We can go through a pandemic. We can deal with all different kinds of things. But the one steadying factor we know is that Kyle Whittingham is the coach at Utah. And I don't know if I'm ready to live a life where Kyle Whittingham is no longer the coach at Utah, because that's just your steadying force that you can always count on.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I think the only way you can kind of move on is believing that Morgan Scally will be the guy, and believing Morgan will be the guy that he's expected to be the head coach he's expected to be the leader he's supposed to be, to continue pushing for growth like Kyle always has. Kyle has you think about Utah when he showed up, and you think about Utah as he leaves with all of these new facilities. It's just incredible, just the amount of growth that he's helped usher up into Salt Lake City. So the only way, Scotty, that we kind of make this transition and feel okay about it is if Morgan Scally is who we thought Morgan Scally would be.
Yeah.
And that's a great leader that will retain coaches like Colton Swan. He'll retain coaches like Jason Beck. He'll be able to stabilize the staff and make sure that guys like Luther Ellis and Lewis Powell and Shree Shaw and Freddie Whittingham are all taken care of. And, you stabilize that, and then bring the team into a team meeting and say, look, I don't need to introduce myself. You've all known me since you got here. Nothing is going to change. This is how we're going to get better. This is the Morgan Scally expectation, which isn't far off from the Kyle Whittingham expectation. And this is how we're going to go win a Big 12 championship. That, he just has to be that stabilizing presence that we've always known he can be, Scotty.
Yeah, no doubt. When you look at a staff of Kyle Whittingham, of Morgan Scally, Sharif Shah, as you mentioned, will be a big part of that. I don't think there's a lot of change. I'm sure there are a lot of people who will come after the services of your offensive coordinator, so that's got to be locked down for sure. But who do you think is the defensive coordinator at the University of Utah next year?
Well, I think if he's going to stay in staff, it's between Colton Swan and Lewis Powell. Those are two of his longest tenured. Sharif would be up there as well, but as I understand it with Sharif Shah, he's never really desired to be a defensive coordinator, and Sharif might be listening and shaking his head saying, what the hell is he talking about? Because I've never heard that straight from Sharif Shah's mouth. Those are just the rumblings around the program, that Sharif loves being a position coach, that he loves working specific groups, and from what I understand, just didn't have this real drive and desire to become the coordinator. I do believe that Colton Swan and Lewis Powell would be up for the challenge, and I also think that they could answer the call for that. And that's going to be as difficult for Morgan as probably it was for Kyle, as Kyle relinquished that to Gary and relinquished it to Kalani and handed it down to John Pease and then moved it on to Morgan Scally. It's tough when you know so much, and Morgan knows a lot. And Morgan is going to have to completely shift and delegate because he's about to have his eyes wide open. Every head coach I've talked to, including Kalani and so many others, when they take that jump from assistant or coordinator to the HC, it is a very rude awakening. There is so much to do. It is a fire hose. It is overwhelming. It is absolutely difficult to fathom all the guys, everybody that you're responsible for, and you have to prioritize and say, all right, well, priority number one, we got to sign the talent. Without the talent, I'm a short stay here. And then you start looking at your recruiting budget. You start looking at the talent that you have, the talent that you need to go get, and you got to kind of be the master of that. You got to know who to put in what territories and what talent you've got to get and how to land them. He's going to have to prioritize, and it's going to be it's just going to be an insane time for Morgan because they have not announced, right? They have not announced that it's just Morgan's job at this point?
They have not. It has not been officially announced. Now, Steve Bartle's reporting that at practice, Kyle Whittingham told the team and then pointed over at Morgan and said, this is your head coach going forward after the bowl game. So that's the only indication is that Kyle pointed at Morgan and said he's going to be the guy. But there has been no official announcement from coming from the University of Utah as of yet.
Well, I think we all just kind of safely assume that that is going to be the move, and you just hope that, and you hope and you believe that Morgan Scally is ready for it. I mean, this is a long time coming. He has been sitting as a DC, as head coach in waiting since John left, essentially. Which is we're talking about a 10-year period close to.
Yeah, about that.
Where he's been leaning into it. I mean, it's certainly for the last probably 4 years, he's had to assume I better get ready. Oh, I better get ready. Oh, I better have all my sheep in a row. Oh, I better know what I'm about to take on. So I mean, if Morgan is waking up to this news and is like, oh, what? Then then we got problems because he's had a long time to gather the notes, to gather the information, to understand what he's about to take on. This is the way it was told to me, Scotty. It didn't matter how much you prepared for having that first baby. When you had that first baby, you're like, oh yeah, the thing's gonna cry. Yeah, I'm gonna feed it tonight. Oh yeah, I got to make a little extra money to keep this thing alive. Oh yeah, no, yeah, it'd be fun. Put it in a car seat. oh yeah, I got to buy these diapers so it can just crap in them, and I throw them away. I might as well just be throwing $100 away every month. And then it happens, and you're like, oh, this is hard.
Yes.
This is really freaking hard, and I don't know if I'm ready for this. I should have thought this through more because this is breaking my back. That's kind of how it's been explained to me, taking the head coaching position for these guys. But if anybody's prepared, it's got to be Morgan, does it not?
It has to be, but you're right. I mean, you can prepare yourself all you want, and Morgan's had a ton of time to prepare, but it's not like you're taking over a job that where some guy got fired and you come in and you got this long honeymoon phase. People have an expectation for what Utah football is, and they want that day one. There's no honeymoon period. You're replacing a legend. You're replacing a guy that's going to be in a statue, and people want those same results right out of the gate.
Oh, that's so true. And if I'm Morgan, I'm like, hey, Kyle, it would have been a lot better for you to step down last year.
Yeah.
So I could take over a 5-win team and make it into something great. But you had to go. You had to go build a 10-win team, and now I got to keep up with these Joneses. No, you're 100% right. And Utah fans, what I would ask you is relax those expectations, especially for the first 2 seasons. Don't think that 10 wins is the standard. The Big 12 is extremely difficult. Don't think that BYU, the win over your rival, is a standard. Kalani's put together a couple wins over Kyle Whittingham as Kyle's pressed his butt off to try to get those wins with very, very good talent and was not able to get those wins over BYU. So relax the expectations for a couple years. Give Morgan a little bit of room to breathe. Would I be surprised if he put up a 10 or 11-win season and got himself to a Big 12 championship? Not at all.
Nope.
Not at all. Would I be surprised if next year there's a fall to 7 wins? And there's some struggles? No, I wouldn't be surprised at all. What I will be doing is sitting back and saying, all right, Morgan, get your stuff together. Give it a couple of years. You're taking over a Lamborghini, and you've got to find a way to build it into a Bugatti. And I'm going to give you some time and some money and resources. And by the way, if he doesn't get the resources, if he doesn't get the money, then time doesn't matter.
No.
I mean, that's just the facts. And Trevor Riley has done a really good job of going on the media tour and saying Utah needs money. Now, we do have this new $500 million investment, and we've got Utah starting into this crazy venture, which is going to be unfounded. It is going to be creative. And, I can't imagine something like that is started into without great details. So my expectation is Mark Harlan's got his ducks in a row, and he's ready for this kind of venture, and it should work out. But Morgan's taken the reins after this unprecedented release that Utah is starting into a capital investment, which is going to be. This is wild times, Scotty. Wild times for Morgan. Wild times for the University of Utah.
If you're Morgan Scalley, what's the first order of business? Is it making sure Jason Beck gets locked down? What is priority number one for you?
Yeah, Jason Beck. If that's not done, which that has to be done. I mean that needed to be done, and I there's a lot of indicators that are telling me it's done. If guys like Bert Ficklin are sticking around, and we're seeing guys pretty much at least announce that they're going to be sticking around offensively, that tells me that there's probably indicators that Jason Beck is going to be there. I would imagine if Jason was unsettled and leaving, I don't think we would have got an announcement from Bert Ficklin. It's one of my guesses. I don't know. If it's not done, that's priority number one. If that is done, priority number one is getting the talent. I'm hitting transfer portals, and I'm making sure that I'm getting the talent so that I can win in this upcoming season, because I want my first impression as a head coach to be the right one. I know I talked about people needing to give him a couple of years, but on his end, that first year as a head coach, man, it plays a big role for the Utah fans, a big role for the athletic director and administration. And so, yeah, I make sure my coaches are all settled. I'm like, okay, coaches are good. Jason, you're back. Okay, our offense is going to be rocking and rolling. Okay, here we go, guys. Transfer portal. We're going to need 2 offensive tackles. We're losing 2 to the NFL. we're going to need one bad A linebacker. If we don't have it on the roster, we need to go get it. We need to find at least one cover corner that can do his work. We've got our quarterback, we've got our running back. We need to find at least one deep threat receiver, even though I think that they've got two that are coming back. I think J.J. Buchanan is the future of this offense. Personally, I think he is the future of this offense. I think that this kid is going to have insane growth. But I make sure my coaches are settled, and then I jump into the transfer portal because I know I could screw everything else up. I could screw everything else up. But if I get the team right on the field and we win, I don't care what you think. We're winning. So shut your mouth. Pay your money. Come to the stadium. Support me. I don't care. As long as I'm not some former Michigan coach and some complete bad guy behind the scenes, I need to win on the field. So give me the money to do it, and I'll do it, and then we can all be happy together. But, man, Scotty, I got a lot of anxiety over it, man. This is going to be a crazy change for you and I. One of the biggest changes you and I will go through in this state.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, this is that night in the Delta Center when Jerry Sloan told Greg Miller he wanted to retire. This is when you essentially had Lavelle Edwards telling everybody before the season started, I'm stepping down. This is one of those monumental moments that you'll always remember. This is when John Stockton said, I'm retiring. So this is a pivotal moment for sports here in the state of Utah. Hans, appreciate you joining us. Thanks for hanging out with us on vacation. Go finish that lunch and let somebody else pick up the tab, all right?
Well, get your hammer and chisel and start knocking Kyle Whittingham's head into Mount Timpanogos.
Yes. Yep.
Because
Absolutely.
He belongs there.
He does. You're the best, buddy. Thanks.
All right, bye.